All right, folks, this is going to be fun and this is going to be exciting. We have a trio of guests here because we have the main star, Karen is here, but her two pups also will possibly be coming on and giving their opinion throughout the podcast, and they're more than welcome to join. So, Karen, welcome to the Leaders Who Care series.
It's so great to be here.
We're going to show everybody clearly why you deserve to be on a series that's called Leaders Who Care. Best way I always say to start is, and I always have to do this. It's a big asterisk when I talk to men because when I say, "Can you briefly tell me about yourself?" they immediately go to their title and their position and what they do in
Oh.
a job, which is not what I asked. But if you could share where you're from originally, where you are now, anything you want to talk about, your family, maybe something you've never told anybody that you want to reveal to the world now. That's always fascinating. Every so often, someone comes up with a zinger of something. But share a little bit about Karen.
Okay. Um, well, I'll go way back, but I'll try to speed it up a little bit because, if I go
It's not
too
a
far
feature
back,
film. That's right. It's not a feature film.
yes, there's not a documentary on me. So, but
No.
I'll just try to think of like what I think is pertinent. Well, when I was a kid, Um, I used to love to read, and I used to love my mom would go to pick up my dad from the train station, and there was a little magazine shop across the street, and I would run in and I would get Psychology Today and Mad Magazine. Those are my
Oh,
two favorites. I
good
love
combo.
psychology, right? And I loved like learning psychology and I loved humor. And in a way, when I think about what I do now, if you took Psychology Day magazine, Mad Magazine, put them in a blender and pressed frappe, you'd get kind of what I do. Like to learn about psychology and philosophy. I also love philosophy, and then kind of sprinkle in some humor. So that's a little bit about how I got there. And then the other thing that might be pertinent is that I grew up with a mom who was an actress, and she was an active actress.
Oh,
And yeah, and so I watched her doing something that was creative, that was her passion, and excelling in it. And I think it gave me a sense of possibility. She was on a very popular children's program when I was growing up that played on CBS regionally, like in Philadelphia, where I'm from, Delaware, New Jersey. And it was a kids program called The Jean London Show. And she played all these character parts like Shady Sadie, the jailbreak lady, Madame Natasha, Quigley, Mrs. Winifred Throckmorton the third, all these crazy characters, a lot of wicked witches. People in our neighborhood knew, they'd be like, that's where the house where the wicked witch lives. And during Halloween, she'd get on, the kids would ring the doorbell to, get their chocolate. My mom would get on and do her wicked witch voice and wicked witch laugh. And then all the kids would run away and we'd have extra chocolate because nobody was brave enough to stick around to get the chocolate from the house where the wicked witch lived.
even on
And
Halloween?
even on Halloween. So we always had extra chocolate.
Well,
Um, but
not a
yeah,
bad thing.
not a bad thing, not a bad thing. So that's, I think I can thank her for helping me to believe in like the possibility of doing something creative for a living and making it.
That's pretty awesome because that is super creative and back then also especially doing what she did and so when you said Jean London, no relation to Joan London.
No relation to Joan London. But Gene London had a second career after that. He had in New York City a very famous uh, vintage clothing store where people went for movies. Like if they needed clothing for a movie, they would get it from him, or wedding dresses, all this kind of. He wound up becoming having a whole second career.
I love
Uh,
it.
yeah.
We have a store here in LA called It's a Wrap, and they sell clothing that they've used in movies. And it says who wore it, and then you buy it. And then sometimes they only wore it for half an hour just for the scene
Oh,
and stuff like that. But it's interesting. So you're from Philly though originally.
yes. Yeah. The suburbs of Philly, like the street with the cul-de-sac, and we all played kickball and had like large trees and stuff like that.
Fun times those were actually,
Yeah.
playing on the street and stuff like that. And do you have siblings?
I do. I have an older brother whose name is Eric, who I renamed Irk an earache.
Okay. I'm sure he appreciated that.
Now a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley.
Cool.
Uh,
Does he use those names? Just
no, I haven't called him that in a while, but that was kind of our relationship.
well, you call him Irk, it's gonna irk sometimes.
Exactly.
Um, and any other relatives we should know about with nicknames?
Um, no, no, I mean that's it. It was just me and my brother, my mom, and my dad. And yeah.
Cool. Did you I remember when I was a kid, we had summer jobs and all sorts of different things we did. We obviously were outside more than the kids are today. We were always outside and doing stuff. And what were you like as a kid and a teenager? Did it was it the acting stuff from your mom? Was it videos? Was it movies? What were you into?
Um, I always loved writing and drawing. A lot of times like the family would be downstairs watching TV and I'd be up in my room writing and drawing and really loved that. But my mom's career as an actress kind of intrigued me. So for a while I did some acting and I was like in a Hershey Park amusement park commercial and a McDonald's commercial.
Oh.
I was the girl behind the counter and
Oh,
it was a BJ Thomas commercial. It was like he came in. Do you remember who BJ Thomas was
I
from back
don't.
in the day? Oh, he sang Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
so,
sure, sure.
yeah. So in the commercial, there's the girl behind the counter, and he came up to the counter, and my words were, I still remember from years ago. uh, he comes up and I go, say, you aren't BJ Thomas, are you? I think I hopefully said a little bit better. I'm sort of exaggerating it. And then he said, I am. I'm here to tell everybody about my new record promotion. And then, anyway, and then at the end, the copywriter had written, here, BJ, sign my hat, sign my French fries. And I joked with the copywriter if we could say, here, BJ, sign my buns. And they were like, okay, enough of this girl. And then, fun fact, I later went on to be a copywriter in advertising. So that might have been my first attempt at copywriting that got it completely like, go away, kid. You just,
I think that was a brilliant move, the buns. Come on. I guess it was a family commercial, huh? Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
Pete.
Well, everything was more family like back then.
Yeah.
And then I was in a really absolutely terrible horror movie, like literally terrible. I'm not just like so bad that it swung around and it's kind of campy and has like a campy following because it was that bad.
Hmm.
It was called Malatesta's Carnival of Blood and it had Hervey Villechaize in it, the little midget from Fantasy Island.
The
We were
plane.
height. Yeah. We were like the same height at the time. And anyway, I was in that movie and I was bad. The movie was bad. I have nothing. I only look at it just to go, you know what? It's good that I went into being a writer and not an actress. Because I was like, I don't know, maybe it was the director's fault. I don't know. But I was kind of a little over the top, you know.
Well,
So
I think it was the director's fault. You were a kid and
I
whatnot,
was,
and it's funny how experiences as a kid, and certainly you know this for sure, stay with us. Kind of like trauma can stay in your elbow, and these experiences stay in. And I
yeah.
know in interviewing a lot of people, not just for the podcast, but in just in what I do, especially men, they always tell me about the time their coach put them in on a critical time in the game when they were 9, and they remember it like totally, and how it sticks as the foundation of their whole confidence forever. It's impactful. So, for example, how they handled your buns thing, um, some way or somehow affected you, and it does. I think it just does, and it's part of the adventure of
Yeah.
life, if you will, that all these experiences.
In some ways, I mean, even then they said no, they laughed with me. I didn't take it as a like a real, I'm just telling the story that way more, but I did think, oh, that was fun. And then seeing commercials from that end made me think, oh, this could be a fun career, writing for commercials, especially since I loved psychology and I loved writing. I
Big
really
time.
thought at the time, like, oh, advertising could be a way. to do all of this.
Yeah, I
So,
know it's big time. Yeah, there's so much creativity and so much thought and goes into it. And so you went into advertising at Boston U, right? If I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
And then you switched to Emerson and it was
yeah.
film and philosophy. So what you're talking about is kind of happening right there. The film, the philosophy, the advertising. What were you envisioning at the time?
Oh, I really did want to go into film. And then I wound up, I had an internship at a film place and I was just basically in charge of catering and stuff. And then I thought maybe I'll try advertising anyway. And I created a portfolio, came into New York and interviewed at a couple places and was lucky enough to get a gig at J. Walter Thompson. And
Small firm.
yeah, so I stayed in that for a while. I got like a Clio my first year in the business, and I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
You know, it was working out like on paper, like I was doing well, but I wasn't happy inside myself because there's a lot of politics and,
Mad Men.
yeah, yeah. So I kept threatening to quit advertising, and my parents kept talking me out of it. I wanted to write a novel. I didn't want to write like commercials to get people to switch toothpaste. I wanted to write something that would get people to think in new ways and like a book, you know, and or even a screenplay. I was still interested in that too, but I had one novel in me, and my parents said, no, don't quit. And so after them saying that lots of times, I quit and didn't tell them for like a month or so. And
I
and
think
then
we
I
all do that in some aspect sometime.
and then I wrote the novel, and then it worked out because I sold it to St. Martin's Press and then to Miramax to be a movie starring Marissa Tomei.
I love Marissa Tomei. Kind of like I think George on Seinfeld loves her too, because they
Yeah,
always talk about that.
yeah.
With that, can you share some work experiences on, there's always a journey that we all have, and there's inflection points that like stand out. Like I mentioned, the guy saying about the coach doing that with him and whatnot. Were there any, there's got to be some other experiences and inflection points that stand out and the impact they had on you kind of to become who you are. We'll talk a little bit about that, but were there any that really stand out?
Um, well, well, the moments that I decided to quit, maybe, or the moments I decided to move forward. I always, you know what I did when I quit? I was so determined. I was like extra determined because my parents were like, oh no. So I had like that in my head, like, I'm going to make this, I'm going to show them this was the right choice, you know? So I would go to the bookstore and envision my book on the bookshelf. And my last name is Salmansohn. And I went and I looked and I saw Salinger. And I thought, oh, I'll be next to Salinger, Salinger. And that made me
You could
happy.
have been next to Salman Rushdie too. Remember him?
Yeah, but
Well, that was Salman. It's close enough. So
it's
anyway.
close. It's close. Um, and then how I got my agent is sort of a weird story. Um, I kind of credit, well, I actually think that it was my exuberance and my excitement that I was just really excited about writing a novel. I got myself really excited about it. And I was working freelancing at MTV at the time, and I got into an elevator with this guy, Mark Pellington, who was a director. I was writing interstitials, the stuff in between the videos that got people to hang around on MTV. They'd have like these cute little, it was like little movies actually, little
Mhm.
30-second things. And I got into an elevator with this guy that I sort of knew, but not that well. And he said, we got on the 24th floor. MTV was on the 24th floor. And he said, hey, Karen, how are you? What's new? Like, not like a big conversation, but I was like, oh my gosh, I just finished my novel. I'm so excited. And I think he felt my exuberance, but I had nothing. Like, I was just making conversation. And he said, oh, really? You have an agent yet? And I'm like, no, I just finished it, you know. He said, would you like an agent? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then by the time we landed in the lobby, he gave me an agent's name and phone number just randomly, like a true elevator pitch. Like really, like I was like, oh, it's about this or whatever I was saying at the time. And I joke, and that became my agent. And I joke that if MTV were located on the third floor, not the 24th floor, I'd never be published.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah, but I
yeah, so
also
go
like
ahead.
think back on it. I wasn't there networking in the elevator. I wasn't there, hey, you got an agent. Like it was just a natural excitement and exuberance. And I think people can feel that. And I think that was part of it.
I think there's a big lesson there for today where we're talking about working remote or not. And I always tell younger people, especially, spend some time in the office. It's not all about remote because you might
Yeah.
bump into somebody in the elevator. That's that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is one of my favorite authors or quotes is Maya Angelou, who, says most people will always remember how you made them feel. They might not remember what you said or what you did, but always remember how you made them feel. And obviously, even though he was maybe stoic or whatever the word is in the elevator, he heard you and felt that you were excited about it. And
Yeah.
and it happened. And that goes a long way. I think sometimes that's underestimated. Even a smile can make that happen and
It's true.
turns into something good. So,
Yeah.
why not be that way? How did you end up being the designer of like a beyond jeweler type of scenario. I mean, you've done a lot of creative things, and I noticed also, you certainly impact people on having a life of financial, physical, mental well-being, but you also promised your son to live to more than 100, I
Yes.
believe. I saw that also. How did you think about all this? Did these things just come to you, or how?
Yeah, I do feel like I come up with a lot of ideas, but I don't know if that's necessarily great. My mind is always thinking, I want to do this, I want to do this. I sometimes think of like I make fun of myself that the Spider-Man, they used to say his gift with his was his curse was his gift. So
Hmm.
I think sometimes thinking of too many ideas is a gift and a curse. Like I need somebody to follow me around and say, like, put that idea down. Stop wasting time on that idea. Like I have like too much sometimes, and I need to focus on just like one huge project. And that's what a book becomes, like when you work on a book.
Hmm.
But I fall in love with, oh, I want to do jewelry. Oh, I want to do kids' books. Oh, I want to,
But
you know,
it wasn't just jewelry, though. It was way beyond jewelry.
well, that happened because I had a Facebook page that went viral back in what year was it? I know my son is going to be 15, and it was around the time my son was born. So it was about 15 years ago, and nobody was doing those quote image posters back then. Pinterest did not exist. I don't even think Instagram existed at that point.
Probably
And
not.
so, but because I came from advertising, I started to create these quote image posters, and nobody was really doing them. And I put them up and they started to go viral. And then my page, like they got shared like 1 million times for one poster or 500,000. Like it just went crazy viral. And I had like 1.3 million followers or something. And then
Wow.
oh, and then somebody from Home Shopping Network approached me for a jewelry line with little like quotes of mine, inspirational quotes on them. So that happened from building the Facebook page. But I love jewelry, so it was,
Well, I don't think those things happen by accident. I think again, it's the energy that you put out um, turned into something. It's not. I don't think it's rocket science, and it's authentic energy. So people feel it even more so. How do you feel now about your promise to your son about living beyond 100?
well, he helps me very much because they say that you become like the weight of the people or the money or anything like the people that you hang out with. And and I can see how, just even logically, he is so health conscious that this house has like everything healthy in it. So he's like almost like somehow he rigged the system so I might just actually live to 100.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like different with kids. You're like, put that candy down. He's like with me, put that candy down. He's like telling me.
Well, I could relate. Three sons and a bonus daughter who's married to my middle son, who's an actor, and my two younger sons were very competitive, high level hockey players and whatnot. But after all that, they became vegan and they're healthy, and they showed me all sorts of different things to eat that are vegan that are fantastic and so on. So. Hey, they can take care of us for a while.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about well, let me go back. Our firm was actually founded on the premise that leaders and their organizations can always do better when they're doing good at the same time. So we're always talking about talent slash leadership and then and impact. And tech becomes a tool, including AI. Describe a little bit how you developed your different paths, um, which was about making lives better, and I again go back to how did you or did you even look at the realm of making lives better was better for business and for, social impact at the same time?
Yeah, well, it was why I wanted to quit advertising. I felt like advertising was really shallow, and I was like this, like I guess they even have words for it now, like highly sensitive kid or whatever. I was always in my room writing and thinking. I remember one time my friends and I, we found a lost dog and we returned it to the owners. And my friend said something like, "Oh, I wish they'd given us money." And I was like, "Oh, but didn't that feel good to like?" And they looked at me like I know I've always like was weirdly weird like that, like wanting to do
Weirdly
good.
weird. That's pretty profound.
Was. I remember feeling really embarrassed that that thought even like I just
Hmm.
and then so when I quit my job in advertising, I really did want to help people to think in new ways, and I was always reading books, self-help books, back in like the 80s and the 90s. I remember I was reading a book when I was at college. And I told my mother about it. And she's like, "Oh, I don't have time to read a self help book." But she really just didn't want to read a self help book. So I ripped it into, it was like 200 pages. And I ripped like 10 pages or 5 pages. I forgot what I did. And I bought like 30 greeting cards and I mailed her like 5, 10 pages a day with a note. Like you have time to read like 5, 10 pages. I loved reading books that helped me to live better and think and stretch my mind. And then at a certain point, I realized I kept wanting to recommend books to people. And I felt like I didn't want to insult them. And I thought there should be self-help for people that wouldn't be caught dead doing self-help, or self-help that you could give to a friend as a gift and it looks kind of cool so they're not going to punch you, you know, because the books were all like very serious. Like I myself would like want to rip the cover off them and read them in cafes, not letting people know what I was reading. I was a little embarrassed, like that I was like liking self-help books. And so then the marketing person in me thought, that I should create self-help for people that wouldn't be caught dead doing self-help. So I came up with the first of this genre, a book idea called How to Be Happy, Damn It. And it had the word damn it. This is back in the 90s when I came up with this idea. And my agent thought I was nuts, like a self-help book with damn it. And then I pictured it with like images and like designy and everything. And she could not see it. And so I just paused and I just believed in it so much that I parted ways with her. And because I was in advertising, rose up pretty quickly. I was a senior VP creative director in my 20s. I knew how to creative direct things. But back then I didn't know the tech for it. So I needed to get somebody that knew InDesign or Photoshop. And then I worked with them and we creative directed How to Be Happy, Damn It from beginning to end, the entire book. And then I got another agent with that who believed in it. And then we went out with it and we sold it. And I think it's because um, I showed them this is what it looks like. And it was such a strange idea, the whole idea of it. They couldn't imagine it. And businesses are a little bit fearful and a little bit lazy. And they're fearful, like, I don't know what this is, and lazy, like, I don't want to even think about what this is. So when I say this is what it looks like, it took the fear and the laziness, they could envision it. And then it had a little bit of a bidding war, and we chose one publishing house. And then it went on to be a huge bestseller. It sold like 250,000 copies, was Urban Outfitters best-selling book for many years in a row, because back then they didn't have, now they have a table with all those books, but this was like weird. In fact,
Hmm.
a curse word, now everybody has curse words on book covers, but this was like very odd for that
Well,
time.
that's not even really a curse word, even.
Not in today's world, right?
It's
But
not even close. I
I
know, but
know.
then, right.
Oh, I was like very feisty for that, and then actually Eminem, the musician, saw it, I guess, and he put the book in one of his music videos where you see him reading, because it had a bright orange cover on it, and the camera pans in the music video, and he's like reading the book. But I didn't send it to him. He just found it somehow. Must have thought the title and cover were,
Get paid for that?
no, but I mean, I should pay him. It was good advertising.
My son turned down a commercial they wanted. Oh no, a video. Eminem was doing a video or a thing about Michael Jackson. He was singing different people's songs and Michael Jackson, and my son was like 11 at the time, and they wanted my son jumping on a bed behind him while he was singing a Michael Jackson song, and he turned it down because he didn't want to be in that scenario.
Okay, okay, all right, I get
That was
it.
a little much for an 11-year-old to be asked to do that. Unfortunately, because Eminem is great, but so that's it's funny how things evolve. One of my pet peeves always in the world is people that make declarations about what they think is right and what they think is wrong, whether it's like against gays and then they have a gay son and their mind all of a sudden opens up and thinking, oh, well, maybe it's not so bad. But maybe you shouldn't have made that declaration that this is wrong so strongly and maybe think about it, right? And same thing with your book, or even with leaders who care. We had a lot of business people saying that's way too intimate for business, using the word care at the beginning.
Ah,
And I think what your damn it thing did was saying, look, this is real. It's okay type of thing. And we have to like open up a little bit and even in business, laugh and we use an expression, clear is kind. The clearer you are, the kinder you are with
mm,
people and stuff. So I like the damn it thing. And I also like and I want to ask you about it. They say the fourth industrial revolution they say is clearly AI and technology, but the fifth they're talking about is humanity and how we put this together. Um, and I want to kind of ask you like, what's ahead for you with AI going fast and furious right now?
mm,
Um, and you continue to share these wisdoms, and I love the fact where you convert someday dreams into today actions. That's a great comment. And talk about with AI and technology and people's laziness or fear that you talked about.
mm.
How does that fit in with your new book? Which is your to die for life, and having lived in Boca and in LA now, to die for is a common comment. Um, while they hold their little dog at the same time. What's ahead for you? And talk about a little bit about the book and how that relates.
Well, the book was inspired when my dad died. About by now it is wild. It's about 20 years ago, and his death definitely woke me up in a lot of ways. And it's funny, like we think we know there's this thing called death, but we're kind of like, oh, life is short. We just say it, but we don't really take it in. It sounds like something you see on a bumper sticker but then when somebody you love dies, you're like, life is short. Like it's suddenly, you take it in on a whole
And
nother
especially
level.
since, sorry to interrupt, it's so, even if you expect it, it's so final.
It's so final. It's so final. And I realized that um, a lot of things that actually were sort of like the regrets of the dying, I realized it being the child of somebody who died, the regrets. I wish I wasn't working so hard. It's funny, I never even had that thought till now that I experienced some of the regrets of the dying. My priorities got a wake-up call. I'm working too hard. The other ones are I wish I'd some of them match that kind of go together. Top regrets of the dying. I wish I had allowed myself to be more happy. That goes with working too hard. Some of
Right.
them I was doing. But one of the ones that I realized was, I kept thinking, oh, I'll have a family someday, and a lot of some days if you're not really embracing mortality awareness or
Right.
you're on autopilot. I call it having a near life experience. Uh, Different than near death. Near life, you're like on your phone so much, you're not fully in your life, or you're out to dinner with someone you love, but your mind is like worrying about something in the future or ruminating over something in the past. So again, you're not in your life, or you're saying someday. And I realized, I kept saying, oh, I'm going to have a family someday. And his death kind of woke me up even more than my own biological clock because it made me really sad that he'd never get to see me as a mom, never meet any child I had. And I thought, okay, enough. And I became more aware of having balance, going from like beast mode to what I describe in my book as best mode. In fact, there's a difference. There's like balance. And and in fact, my dad died on August 27th, and then 4 years later, my son was born on August 27th, which is kind of a sweet little like the universe winking, my dad winking.
Yeah.
And and I changed a lot about my life. And I wrote his eulogy, and then I decided to write my own. We have a mission statement for businesses, but we don't walk around with a mission statement for our life, and I think we should. And I looked at all the top regrets of the dying. I looked at what I wanted my life to be about, and then I reverse engineered everything. And I thought, who do I need to be now to get everything I want in my life? Who do I need to be now to avoid the top regrets of the dying? And that's sort of what my book is about.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to start reading it this weekend. Thank you for sending it over and
Sure.
stuff. And um, yeah, it's so fantastic. And I got unfortunately one more question on this. In LA we say I say it a lot. In LA we say leave them wanting more so we can have a sequel. So I think I'm going to have you commit to sequels for sure on this thing to talk about different things. But one last question this time. I had a client in 2021 tell me about the year 2020, pandemic, COVID. He said 2020 was the year that flew by slowly. And I thought, what a great line. And even now, people feel like COVID year was yesterday and years ago, all at the same time. It's kind of a weird feeling. But with all that said, and we're already into almost the end of 2025, amazingly. And there's always that joke I think about the difference between adults and kids is adults are saying, "Oh my God, Christmas is almost here," and kids say, "Oh my God, it's so far till Christmas." The same time frame, how it's looked upon. But can you share what you're most grateful for and what you're most hopeful for?
Well, I'm grateful for, I think for me, from writing this book, I realized meaningful relationships are my everything for me, for having a meaningful life. So I'm grateful for the people in my life that I'm lucky enough to have been teamed up with, that I've met. And obviously my son, who's like a miracle child, because I had him when I was in my 40s, late 40s. So um, I'm grateful for that.
Sure.
Uh, and I'm grateful for I I mean, and that's my main thing, but I wake up each day aware that I want to give back. I feel like that's the other thing. So to have the ability to share ideas that can, you know, wake up sleepy minds and hearts, and that brings me a lot of uh, satisfaction. So I kind of want to throw that in there. I don't know,
No, that's
but
great. What are you most hopeful for?
I'm hopeful that we will get through this whole AI thing I hear all of like different people saying different things, and I'm hoping the people that are saying the positive things about AI are the ones that are right. That's what I want to stay hopeful about because I'm a little bit nervous about what AI is going to do to our lives. So
It
I'm
will do a
hoping.
lot, but you can be hopeful for it too. I have a client and a friend who has a company called Loving Is AI, and they're training AI as you would train a new baby to think with values and positivity and caring and stuff, and to put that into all AI. So it's a it's a great thing. Well, I'm grateful to have a really good new friend, creative new friend, and that you are a leader who cares. And I'm hopeful for the same thing. I think is that keep creating, damn it, everything out there, and making a difference for people. And thanks for being on our podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. This was fun. I'll happily come back.
Cool. We have it recorded.